And then Jim Simpson and Dick Vitale live in Gainesville with Tennessee and Florida at 7 Eastern Time. College basketball report. It'll be 6:30 Eastern Time Monday evening. I'll be by with Dick Vitale. I'll be by at halftime with the Tennessee-Florida game with more scores and highlights. College basketball 86. See you at 7 Eastern Time.
On Speed Week, the World Center of Auto Racing is set.
The capital of the country hosts motor racing.
And the capital of racing is off the road.
This and more next on Speed Week.
Is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich TA Radios, built for you to take on the road. And by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Speed Week. I'm Bob Jenkins.
And I'm Larry Newber. The first major race of 1986, the 24 Hours of Daytona, is this coming weekend. More on that later. We begin this week's Speed Week with another story from Daytona.
Well, the Speedway has been busy with NASCAR testing the past couple of months, but now is silent in preparation for this weekend's IMSA opener. Ron Kendrick has a review of NASCAR testing.
Speedweek's 86 is upon us here at the Daytona International Speedway, and the time for testing is over. In December and January, 37 Winston Cup drivers came here for test sessions. 25 recorded laps in excess of 200 miles per hour, and 3 were in excess of 205 miles per hour. The fastest of the fast was Tommy Ellis, who unofficially broke the track record with a lap of 205.292 miles per hour. The December and January testing brought many of the veteran NASCAR drivers to Daytona, trying to find a magic combination that would improve their performance over last year. It also brought out the newcomers. After a successful Trans Am career, Willie T. Ribbs signed a contract with Dygaard, and he hopes to make his mark in Winston Cup racing. His goal for 1986 is simple.
To do as well as we can. Each race get better and better, get quicker and quicker, and know more. There's so many things you have to learn in the sport. The pit stops, the cautions, learning how to set up the car. The car is 1,000 pounds heavier than I've ever driven before, so, it's, a new adjustment and a new world.
So it's time for another great season of auto racing, and it all gets underway here on Saturday with the International Motorsports Association's Sunbank 24 Hours of Daytona. For ESPN Speed Week, I'm Ron Kendrick reporting from the Daytona International Speedway.
Last year, NASCAR spelled speed F-O-R-D, but it doesn't look to be as easy of a lesson plan this year. General Motors has responded swiftly and in force. Several marks have put on the streets and therefore the tracks cars that look like they were designed in Rhonda, North Carolina, rather than on a draftsman's board in Detroit. Both Johnson Chevrolets in the top 5, and as Ron told us, Tommy Ellis's Chevy fastest above the track record. Buick's 2 in the top 15. Big surprise, Joe Ruttman and drag racer Kenny Bernstein's new entry 3rd, and Bobby Hillen 15th. Rick Wilson drove the quickest olds into that group, 9th, just ahead of Cale Yarborough. Cale was the fastest Ford at 2:03. Elliott was just below that mark, but hard to believe that's all that's left. Ron Bouchard's Pontiac, one of the most highly touted before testing, comes home 11th best, upstaged by Greg Sachs and Rusty Wallace.
Moroso Motorsports Park in another part of Florida is also busy with testing. It involves NASCAR drivers, including Kyle Petty.
Really been trying to get the feel of the GTO car, of the Ford Mustang, and basically what we're doing here is trying to get ready for the 24-hour race at Daytona. It's the type of deal where we're used to running 3,700-pound cars with a lot of motor and very little brakes, and we're out here trying to run a light car with a lot of brakes and a lot of motor, and it's taken some time to get used to everything. I've spun a couple of times trying to get used to it, and really we're testing our limits, trying to figure out the car, and just basically getting ready to go to Daytona.
Other Ford Winston Cup drivers that'll drive this Roush Mustang are Ricky Rudd and Ken Schrader and Bill Elliott. All are interested in getting some road racing experience because of NASCAR's L&R series of road races that's scheduled to begin next year. Also undergoing some testing at Moroso, another GTO car, which will be handled at Daytona by Scott Pruitt, Bruce Jenner, and Klaus Ludwig.
Now, the defending GTO champ, John Jones, will run Formula 3000 in Europe this year. The Kelly American Challenge Series titleist, Tommy Riggins, will drive a Valvoline-sponsored Pontiac Firebird, also moving to GTO.
And defending GTU champ Jack Baldwin also moves up to GTO, replacing Craig Carter in the Peerless Racing Camaro.
Within the next few days, we'll know if IMSA's annual attempt to bring the level of competition up to the Porsche standard worked or not, or is it the other way around? The 962s, which won all but one race in '85, carry added weight this year, but their entry list alone still among the strongest in the world of racing. America's Porsche dealer Al Hobart returns with his all-world team of Derek Bell and Al Unser Jr. It seems only problems can on-track them. The remodeled BF Goodrich team adds up 3 Formula One racers, Derek Warwick, Jan Lammers, and Jochen Mass, and Darren Brasfield with returnees John Morton and Jim Busby. The traditional Jaguars of the Tullius Group revised. Chip Ganassi joins John Paul Jr. in the Conti Buick Hawk, and the anticipated runs of the new Corvette GTP car and BMW machine that has assembled Bobby Rahal and John Watson to ride with David Hobbs. The other change intended for parity, boost controls on turbos cannot be adjusted from inside the cockpit this year.
In our next segment, Mickey's Off-Road begins inside.
And a preview of off-road outside. Stay with us.
To take on the street, you like looking good. But when you take on the road, you're talking performance. That's the new BF Goodrich Radial TA. Check it out. Put it on. Move on out. With more performance than ever. Black wall or raised white letters. The new speed-rated Radial TA from BF Goodrich. Built for you to take on the road.
They say the best ones are the hard ones. These you don't break. Oh, son. You try to reach an agreement. When you do, you head for the mountains. Push. Head for the beer that goes down smooth as a mountain stream. Busch. Brewed for a taste as smooth as its name. Busch. Head for Busch beer for the mountain. Head for Busch beer.
Fuel-injected Dodge Lancers come with optional turbochargers, and you can't expect that kind of power to stay put.
It's the boys' night out, and they're cruising around. The boys' night out, and they're doing the town. They're ripping up, heading out, looking for fun.
Now, get 8.6 financing or $1,000 cash back on Lancer ES.
The first of 9 events that will make up the Mickey Thompson Championship Grand Prix Off-Road Series was held last weekend at the Indiana Hoosierdome. This may look a little confusing, but it's the way the track is laid out. And those barriers that separate the lanes are filled with water. This ATV class is one of 6 providing the action, and we do mean action. This unidentified rider is okay after a Pete Rose-type slide off his mount. Chris Cooper went over the wall, but after a checkup was reported okay. Even this over-the-handlebars maneuver at the checkered. That's defending 4-wheel champ John Neary crossing the finish line on his stomach, or whatever. IndyCar drivers Roger Mears and Pete Halsmer are in the lineup for the highlight of the evening, the Grand National Sports Truck Finale. But Mears, who carries number 1 on his Nissan, has transmission problems and finishes last in the feature. Halsmer leads from the pole position while Ivan Stewart passes Jeff Huber for second, but then spins in the corner. Steve Millen bumps his way into the lead on lap 7 and is never headed. A close battle puts Halsmer in second, Glenn Harris in third, and Stewart fourth.
That Mickey Thompson Series is an offshoot of one of the traditional but more unusual forms of racing, which begins its season this week. Off-road racing, not talked about as much as other forms, but the audience for some events, huge, sometimes up to 100,000. The major events stage 17 classes from unlimited single-seaters to cycles, three-wheelers and quads, to the heavy metal pickups. Two factions were vying over control of the sport, Hydra and Score, but they have now agreed to one schedule and share sanction, unique in the realm of racing. Basically a hot weather sun-baked activity, although snow greeted them last year at the opener in Parker, Arizona. Other exotic venues, Lucerne Valley, the Mojave Desert, and the famed Baja. Some courses are hundreds of miles long and as rugged as you get. 350 entries, not unheard of. Off-road racing means racing anywhere. You might end up spanning the loneliness of the desert or arguing with a rocky path or splashing along a barren creek bed. On occasion, the calm of paved city streets make up course sections. In recent years, off-road has traveled to the arena where fans are treated to an entire course. Last year, Manny Esquera had the year of envy, winning the Triple Crown for the second year in a row, including the Baja 1000 for the fourth time in 5 years, a feat bordering on the impossible. Like showroom stock racing, even the casual sportsman or hobbyist can compete. But off-road has its factory-backed teams too, and a direct application to the showrooms of America.
Jeff McPherson, who's been a regular in Super V's the past few seasons, will run Formula 3000 this year in Europe. His car owner, Colin Bennett, has ordered a new March and also purchased Christian Danner's 1985 championship-winning March.
Brett Bodine has been the fastest in Grand National, formerly late model sportsman, practiced at Daytona. Nearly 186 miles an hour. Last year's pole speed was 187.
Alan Kulwicki may be close to a full sponsorship with a steakhouse, and that will allow him to do a full Winston Cup season. And Davey Allison, Bobby's son, has found a Winston Cup ride. He'll be driving a Chevy for Earl Sadler until the Rockingham race, then switch to a Buick.
When we return, the pizza man makes a delivery at the White House.
And an Easterner makes a return indoor visit to Victory Lane.
We've got just 60 seconds to talk about all the wonderful things you can see on one cable channel.
Good luck.
Nastasia Kinski.
The Great Nijinsky.
Guys.
Dolls.
Herbie Mann.
Lola.
Lena.
Veronica.
Victoria.
Casanova.
Anna Pavlova.
Bread and chocolate.
Peppermint soda.
Angels.
Devils.
Beauties.
Beasts.
Love and Death.
Polanski's Macbeth.
Edmund Keane.
The Dance Machine.
Stardust.
Starstruck.
Hurricanes.
Tempest.
Varishnikov.
Good enough.
Queens.
Counts.
Kings.
Dukes.
The Last Tango.
Marlon Brando.
Firebirds.
Butterflies.
Pythons.
Samurai.
Summer Nights.
Winter Lights.
Rubeck.
Janacek.
Isabella Gianni.
Marcello Mastroianni.
You're almost out of time.
But there's so much more.
Just tell them it's entertainment that's a cut above the rest.
And it's all on the channel where you can always see the best.
Tell your cable operator you want to see the best.
Bravo!
Travel arrangements made through Eastern Airlines, the official airline of Walt Disney World, with more flights to more of Florida. At Eastern, we earn our wings every day.
85's first family of auto racing met the first family of the country last week. President Ronald Reagan hosted a private reception for, from left to right, Al Jr., wife Shelley, Al Sr. and Karen, and Marcia and Bobby Unser, of course. The president was presented with memoirs of Al's championship season, including his helmet, and a bit of advice, Al telling the president he could wear it whenever he needed it. Roger Penske was also a member of this racing entourage in the White House. Reagan has shown more than just an obligatory fancy. During the last campaign, one of the technicians who worked with his personal closed-circuit feed and auto racing noted that to relax, the president tuned to an ESPN auto race.
We normally think of the Can-Am series as the ones involving exotic high-powered sports cars or motorcycles. Well, there's another Can-Am series that runs indoors in upstate New York. This Can-Am Challenge is for three-quarter midgets, and race 2 in the series was held at the Niagara Falls, New York Convention Center last Saturday night. 4 47 cars in all. Heat winners included Bentley Warren, Dave McKnight Jr., Wade Litt, and Steve McKnight, who was also fastest qualifier. John Pennell took his rear engine car into the consolation victory lane, and Lou Ciccone was winner of the 20-lap B main. In the feature, Nick Fodoro Jr. started on the pole with McKnight alongside, but Mike Osite became the first repeat winner in the series. He also checkered last year's opener.
Several promoters have tried their hand at indoor racing in the last few years with variable degrees of success. Not many have gone the imported dirt route, but this one did, and basically they classified it a success. Racer Emmett Hahn staged this in an exhibition hall on the Tulsa State Fairgrounds. The only partial problem, ventilation, exhaust smoke lingered, but not enough to halt the proceedings. Probable key to success, multi-divisions. The mini sprints seem perfectly suited for indoors, headlined the card, along with the modified micro midgets, a division noted for its family participation. Over 300 entries, but it was a relatively safe day. Recently, they raced indoors at Fort Wayne, Indiana also. The field wasn't nearly as large for the pavement, but we thought you might be interested to see how Paul Westfall of Lima, Ohio, found the cement surface.
Entry blanks for this year's Indianapolis 500 have been mailed to car owners. The new garage area will accommodate 96 cars, and the spaces this year will be assigned to participants in the same order as entries are received. Nearly $500,000 in year-end prizes and awards were handed out at the annual USAC banquet last Saturday night. Rule changes for 1986 will allow 18-inch wide tires on the right rear of championship dirt cars and will give a 175-pound weight brake to Silver Crown cars using V6 non-overhead camshaft engines.
3 more IROC drivers have been named. They are 1985 WEC co-champion Hans Stuck, WEC third-place finisher Jochen Mass, and IMSA Camel GT regular Hurley Haywood.
Coming up, the Archers hit the bullseye again.
And lacrosse is a successful sport for the Deckers.
When you take on the track, you're taking your tires to the limit. BF Goodrich started it all, testing street radials in races like this and like this. The more we race, the more we prove what a tire can do. On cars like this and like this. BF Goodrich TA radials, built for you to take on the road.
Do you want to make more money? Of course, we all do. So find out how easy it is to train at home for a better career. Pick up the phone and call this free number. There's no obligation and no salesman will visit you. Here at International Correspondence Schools, more than 9 million men and women have trained for job promotions and new careers without setting foot inside a classroom. And now at home in your spare time, you can get your diploma or get your degree. Choose any one of these courses: computer programming, high school, auto mechanics, hotel restaurant management, fitness and nutrition, child daycare, bookkeeping, firearms repair, medical dental office, electrician. Or get your degree, major in business management, accounting, electrical engineering, or electronics technology. Call for free information on any one of these courses. Then decide if you want to train at home for a better career, to make more money, or advance in your present job. Call 1-800-228-8400. Operators are on duty to send you free information by return mail. Call now, 1-800-228-8400.
Tomorrow, the Hartford Whalers and Washington Capitals face off in our live NHL Game of the Week. The Capitals head for the All-Star break with their sights set on the Stanley Cup playoffs. But the Whalers are winning in the Adams Division, beating the best teams in the league. Don't miss the NHL on ESPN live tomorrow.
The Indianapolis 500 of ice racing was last week in St. Paul, Minnesota. This annual event occurs on the same Lake Phelan where the city was erecting $1 million ice castle this year. They miscalculated and didn't finish, but for the race, about 60 completed entries. Each year, more drivers from other recognized forms of the sport show up for this basically showroom stock racing. Last year, Indy racer Herm Johnson talked Jeff Brabham into this, despite the Arctic temperatures. This year, Jeff talked his dad, Jack, out of retirement. That's Sir Jack, who took this rather seriously, by the way, getting in. Turns out he's been active in celebrity races, but this, his first real competition in a while. IMSA and Porsche Cup winner Drake Olson, a surprise entry, and ralliers Steve Nowicki and Doug Shepard. But the stars of this, the Menard team and the Archers, dueled it out for the win. Tommy lost an entire lap at the start, about 3 minutes, but charged back. John Menard, Johnson's co-driver, actually given the checker, but later officials reversed the win to the brothers from Duluth. Tommy and Bobby race on Uniroyal tires. This week, the firm merged with B.F. Goodrich, forming the second largest tire and rubber company in the U.S. The Archers are now 2 for 2 on the ice in their Chevy Spectrum.
All right, how did you do in that ice race?
Well, every piece of sheet metal on our car was bent except the roof when we were done, but Ron Verhagen, his son Ron, and myself, we finished the race. It's not as easy as it looks. Believe me, ice racing.
Congratulations. On the east bank of the Mississippi River and about 100 miles south, another type of wintertime racing was taking place. Actual temperature below the 0 mark, wind chill 35 below, but not cold enough to stop snowmobile racing at La Crosse, Wisconsin. This is the start of the Formula One final. Number 9, Bobby Donahue, leads until his sled is dead at the end of the backstretch. Give the lead and win to Chuck Decker, the brother of Alan, who won 3 of the first 4 races this year. This is one of the fastest and longest circuits these snowmobiles race on, and that caused many engine problems.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, especially in the weather like this. It's hard on the engines. My brother seized here. There's several other sleds that seized their engines. And we have this big of corners, and it's this cold. We can run wide open all around if we want to, and it's not good to do because, as you notice, a lot of sleds didn't finish.
Paul Lobb swept the A, B, and C stock finals. Jim Wergen on sled number 1 captured the pro stock class of the snowcross event, and Tim Bender won the open class. Now, when you're flat out in snowmobile racing, it's called right to the bar because of the throttle on the handlebars, and they were right to the bar all the way around that track, 100 miles an hour all the way around.
And you thought I was crazy for racing on ice. Well, the radically new Brabham Formula One car was tested recently at Donington Park in England. It's been called the roller skate because of its ultra-low design. The BMW 4-cylinder engine is laid on its side and produced 1,270 horsepower with high boost in testing last summer. The Brabham will be driven this year by Riccardo Patrese and Elio De Angelis.
The NHRA's Winter Nationals will be held this weekend in Pomona, California, and at least one of the new Top Fuel streamliners will be there. Last week we showed you the Gary Ormsby machine unassembled. Well, this is what it looks like all put together. Ormsby's car does not have a canopy over the cockpit as some will, but does have front wings, the engine covered, and flared side pods. Streamliners driven by Don Garlitz and Dick LaHaye will debut later this season. We'll have a report on the Winter Nationals next week on Speedweek.
Now here's this week's trivia question. This IndyCar owner finished 3rd in the first Daytona Continental in 1962. That's the predecessor of the 24 Hours of Daytona. Was it A, Dan Gurney, B, Roger Penske, C, Ted Field, D, Jim Truman, or E, Jim Hall? Bob will have the answer in a moment.
Sears brakes. The brake pads, so advanced, they're backed by a limited wear-out warranty for as long as you own your car. They're Sears brakes. One more way we install confidence at Sears. Every day, for just $59.99 per front axle, you can have Sears disc brakes with Sears lifetime warranty installed on your car.
There's more for your life
at Sears.
Twisting roads, punishing trails, the open road. Each road demands a different tire to take it on. And with BF Goodrich TA radials, you've got all the different tires you need to take on those roads. The most complete line of high-performance radials in the world. The BF Goodrich TA line, built for you to take on the road.
In 1985, this is where Dodge Daytona won more races than anybody else. This is where Dodge Omni GLH cleaned up, and where Dodge Shelby Charger has done the same. And here, Dodge finished 1, 2, 3 in class. Winning is impressive, but what's more impressive is winning with cars that are essentially the same as the ones you'll find in Dodge showrooms. At Dodge, we're selling performance, and we've got the track record to prove it.
Here's the answer to this week's trivia question. Dan Gurney won that Daytona Continental back in 1962. Roger Penske was second the following year. Ted Field was co-winner of the 24-hour race in '79, and Jim Truman has also been a top competitor at Daytona. But Jim Hall finished third in 1962, driving a Chaparral SP-15.
SCCA has decided to get tough on those competitors who cheat and break club rules. We sent Rick DeBrule to the SCCA's first double national of the year at Firebird International Raceway to get reaction.
At no time was the problem more painfully obvious than at this past runoffs in Atlanta. The top 3 finishers in Showroom Stock GT and B divisions were disqualified. The cars just weren't 100% stock. But for the first time, the SCCA has decided disqualification is not penalty enough. So the new rule applying only to the runoffs is the possibility of a $10,000 fine.
Because we want the event to be smooth, well-managed, a good show for the sponsor. We also want it to be equitable for the competitors. And obviously the steps we've taken in the past have not been good enough to get the job done, so we raised the ante.
Just about every racer we talk with liked the idea of strictly enforcing the rules, but not all of them seem completely happy with the SCCA's latest proposal.
I think the incentive could be the pulling of licenses for longer durations and the publication of what the results are when tear downs are made and illegal things are found. I don't think the $10,000 fine is necessarily the right deterrent.
The $10,000 rule, what it does is it really won't deter the guys who are going to go out and spend $30,000 to build their showroom stock car. It may make them think twice about it, but it's not going to stop them.
Some of the drivers pointed out that in showroom stock, for example, that's only attacking the symptom, not the real problem.
You cannot race a 100% stock car. It is dangerous on the track. If we were allowed certain modifications to make the cars safer, I think they'd have people not doing the cheating that they're doing, or let's say preparation.
Of course, the thing you have to remember is the fine is not automatic. It's all up to the race stewards, which leaves a lot of drivers worried about the politics of the race, and even more saying they'll believe it when they see it. In Phoenix, I'm Rick DeBrule reporting for Speedweek.
We at Speedweek join with America in mourning the recent loss of our space shuttle crew. Our fraternity shares a kindred spirit with these space pioneers and adventurers, people who live at the edge and are willing to risk it all for conquest and contribution to the future. As racing followers, we have experienced this kind of loss many times. We identify with their grief, we share their spirit, and share their optimism for the future.
Next week on Speed Week, the 24 hours from nearby Daytona and the Winter Nationals at Pomona. I'm Larry Newber.
And I'm Bob Jenkins. We leave you this week with more of the Mickey Thompson Off-Road Show.
Speedweek has been brought to you by BF Goodrich TA Radials, built for you to take on the road. And by Sears. Come celebrate Sears' new century. See all the ways we've changed and all the ways we haven't.
Stand by for a complete update on a full Saturday afternoon of college and pro highlights, scores, and more. SportsCenter's up next on the Total Sports Network.
Introducing the revolutionary Dahan Folder, the world's lightest, most compact bicycle, offering unmatched versatility and convenience. So unique, yet so practical. Look, 12 seconds is all it takes to turn this compact package into a full-size bike. Here's a high-performance 3-speed with all the features of a full-size bike and much, much more. Whether you store your Dahan Folder in a high-rise, an RV, your boat, or a plane, you'll always have instant transportation. Dahan eliminates the worry of theft and the problems of storage. Commuters,
Now you can fold it and take it. Actually fits under most seats. Leave rush hour traffic and parking problems behind. The Dahan folder goes to work with you. Not just the wheel, but the whole bike. No more hassling with clumsy bike racks. Just store the Dahan in your trunk. It's that easy. Complete adjustability makes it a bike that can be shared by your entire family. The sure-locking quick fasteners are easy to use, impossible to lose. See how Dahan's gearing lets you cover ground just like any standard-size bike with no more effort, no extra pedaling. 3 speeds gives you easy pedaling on hills. The bike's high-tech design, precision engineering, and quality construction guarantee high performance and long life. The ride will absolutely surprise and amaze you. It's comfortable, solid, and enjoyable. The bike's low center of gravity makes it the most maneuverable bike in existence. Turn the Dahan into a 3-wheel luggage cart by simply extending a hidden caster wheel. The Dahan folder travels anywhere and still leaves room for everything else. Plus, the Dahan folder comes fully assembled, ready to ride. The Dahan folder, the most remarkable and versatile bike ever built.
For a limited time and only through the special TV offer may you purchase this nationally advertised $325 Dahan folder for only $199.95. To order or for further information, call toll-free 1-800-942-4000. 1-800-942-4000. Of course, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Use Dahan folder for 30 days. If not completely satisfied, return prepaid for a full refund.
Coming up on SportsCenter, there are no undefeated college basketball teams left as Memphis State falls at Virginia Tech. Better late than never. Second-round action heats up at the Monterey Peninsula at the one-time Clam Bake. The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. On the tennis court. All that and much more coming up on the SportsCenter.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to SportsCenter. Gail Gardner along with Chris Berman. And there was once one team left who hadn't lost a game, but today that is all over with.
No, you really can't expect these things to happen anymore, Gail. And we all sorted out at tournament time, but goose eggs gone. That's basically the story here. You can't really expect to go undefeated in college basketball these days, not with the widespread talent, with the much tougher schedules being played. North Carolina found that out Thursday night in Charlottesville, Virginia, and today down the road a piece in Blacksburg. Memphis State found that out as well. The Tigers finally fell after 20 straight wins, falling to very tough Virginia Tech 76-72. Now, Memphis State had been undefeated in large part to the play to their senior guard, Andre Turner. Makes the steal here, puts it up, and then he had 21 points. As usual, was marvelous. But another guard on the court, Del Curry, was the spotlight man. Curry, the feed to Johnny Fort. Curry had a fine all-around game, as the Blacksburg fans would find out. Watch Curry simply lose Turner with the moves behind the back, stop, pop. Yes, sir. Curry, 28 points. 15 seconds to go. Tech by 2, Memphis State trying to tie it. Dwight Boyd gets the pass. 12-footer in the lane, off the right iron, no good. Bedford rebound, stolen by Bobby Beecher. As time runs down, Keith Colbert, the oh-by-the-way shot, which will count at the buzzer. And Virginia Tech, who lost by 22 earlier this week at Memphis State, goes on to defeat Memphis State 76-72. There will be no undefeated teams this year in college basketball, as Virginia Tech is now 18-4. Memphis State is 20-1, but there's really no problem losing a road game in Blacksburg, and it's hardly like Memphis State had a bad game. They just didn't win it.
Meanwhile, top-ranked North Carolina looks now like it will hold on to that top ranking despite losing to Virginia Thursday night. At Chapel Hill today, Tar Heels with 21 from Brad Doherty had really no problem with Clemson today, beating the Tigers 85-67. Clemson staying close for about 8 minutes in this game. Off the 3-on-1 break, Grayson Marshall with a nice drive over Joe Wolf. He puts it in 14-13, Clemson out on top. But South Carolina, North Carolina took control. Steve Hale kicks it out to Kenny Smith for the jumper. Tar Heels go up by 6. They never look back. Warren Martin with a good game inside today. Ranzino Smith puts it up. He misses, but Martin is there. He puts it in. Martin also with a bunch of assists on the afternoon. 37-23 North Carolina. Second half, Heels maintain that lead. Kenny Smith misses, but it bounds out to Jeff Lebo. He gets it to Doherty for 2 of his 21. 46-31 North Carolina. The Heels put it away. Doherty with a loose ball over to Hale. He drives in for the scoop. Carolina cruises 85-67. The Heels now 22-1, 6-1 in the conference. They are tied for first place with Georgia Tech, and those two teams will meet on Tuesday night. Other top 20 action also in the ACC. 4th-ranked Duke over Wake Forest, 68-58. Mark Allery with 20 points. The Blue Devils now 20-2, 7-2 in the ACC. By the way, that's the earliest Duke has ever won 20 games in a season. In the Big 8, 5th-ranked Kansas over Kansas State, 64-50. Danny Manning, 18 points. Greg Dreiling, Cedric Hunter with 14. The Jayhawks now 20-3, 5-1 in the conference.